You know, if we're honest with ourselves, progress in medicine often arrives in increments so quiet, so methodical, that it can be easy to overlook the human stories behind it. We read about stem cells, artificial pancreas systems, gene therapies, AI driven insulin delivery, and we think of science in abstraction. But each of these breakthroughs represents lives lived in tension with a chronic disease that doesn't pause for work, for school, for family dinners, for birthdays. Diabetes has been relentless, testing patience, resilience, and at times, hope itself. And yet, in the midst of that struggle, we see the moral challenge of our age. How do we take the knowledge we gain and ensure it reaches not just those with resources or proximity, but every community where diabetes exacts its toll? How do we bend the arc of innovation toward justice and dignity and human life? When we look back, the history of diabetes management reads like a mirror to human ingenuity and endurance. For decades, we've relied on careful monitoring, daily insulin injections, and lifestyle changes. We've celebrated small victories, better glucometers, continuous glucose monitors, but the burden has remained heavy. And now, in 2025, we are on the cusp of something extraordinary. Artificial pancreas systems are no longer distant prototypes. They are providing real relief, automating insulin delivery, taking a weight off shoulders that have carried it for years. Stem cell therapies hint at restoring what the disease once took away, promising bodies capable of producing insulin naturally once more. Gene therapy and beta cell encapsulation are rewriting what we thought possible in repairing the very fabric of the pancreas. AI systems are personalizing care in ways unimaginable a decade ago. And yet, each advance brings new questions. Who will have access? Who will be left behind? And how do we maintain humanity amid this technological promise? The story is not just about science, it's about equity, policy, and the courage to ask difficult questions, even as we celebrate progress. I remember when I was organizing in Chicago, how small interventions in health and well being could ripple across our community. We'd knock on doors in neighborhoods where clinics were distant, where fresh food was scarce, where people simply didn't have time to think about prevention, let alone new therapies. Leadership in those moments meant listening more than speaking. It meant understanding the systemic barriers, the economic pressures, the fears that shape people's daily choices. In the Oval Office, the lesson only deepened. Hope is not blind optimism. Hope is work. It is crafting policy that marries innovation with access. It is investing in public health while ensuring that no one is forgotten. When I read about these breakthroughs in diabetes care today, I think about that same principle. The science can be miraculous, but if it sits on the shelves of the privileged, it has not fulfilled its promise. Real progress is when technology meets compassion and policy meets the people who need it most. And perhaps this is what it teaches us about ourselves. We are creatures of incredible imagination, capable of regenerating cells, of designing algorithms that anticipate our body's needs, of bending molecules and engineering proteins. Yet, our greatest challenge remains moral: to deploy this power responsibly, equitably, and with humility. Medicine, like democracy, thrives only when guided by justice. We see the tension between power and restraint, the power of science to heal, and the restraint required to make it available to all. We confront the paradox of hope versus realism. We celebrate stem cell breakthroughs while acknowledging the barriers to care that persist. The pursuit of health mirrors the pursuit of a fair society. Slow, deliberate, sometimes frustrating, but fundamentally rooted in the belief that every human life has equal dignity. Leadership in this context is not merely administrative, It is moral, it is empathetic, it is the recognition that advancing human life is the highest calling of our collective effort. So, as we reflect on these innovations, it is not enough to marvel at their ingenuity. We must ask ourselves, how do we ensure these tools reach the neighborhoods most burdened by disease, where access is scarce and resources are limited? How do we integrate compassion with technology, creating systems that honor both the science and the soul? And how do we, as a society, commit to the patient who wakes up every day with diabetes, knowing that progress is on the horizon, but their lived experience is immediate, pressing, and unrelenting? Every breakthrough in diabetes care is a promise not just to science, but to humanity itself. And it challenges us to live up to it in our policies, in our communities, and in our shared commitment to justice, dignity, and hope. The arc of medical progress bends toward healing, but only if we bend toward courage, equity, and care can we summon the collective will to make these innovations a public good, not a private privilege. Can we align our policies, our ethics, and our empathy so that technology does not widen gaps but closes them? And in the quiet moments, when a patient takes a first step without fear of complications, do we recognize that this is the true measure of progress, not patents or press releases, but lives made whole? These are the questions that define not just the future of diabetes management, but the character of our democracy itself.